What's going on, motivators? We have another video. It seems like liberals and CNN just cannot help themselves. Let's get into this.
He discussed the Iranians using military force to patrol the Strait of Hormuz. That was not on the table, to your point, before Donald Trump decided to do this. And of course, reporting is coming out about all of the myriad of reasons why he shouldn't have done this and how he was warned not to do this. And then there were those who, this is what happens when you don't have people who are experts, who are adults in the room making these decisions, unfortunately.
Experts and adults in the room. Our last 4 years, we saw who ran the country, right? Joe Biden, who was never present. We also saw Joe Biden giving command to Iran, don't. And guess what happened? They went through. Joe Biden telling Russia, there's a red line. Russia went into Ukraine.
What happens? They didn't anticipate this part. They went, wait a minute. The Strait of Hormuz controls all of this, rite of passage for oil, for petrochemicals. Oh my gosh, our farmers are now freaking out because before.
I don't think anyone did not anticipate that. We've been talking about this forever, since the time of Reagan. Everyone knows the Strait of Hormuz is a bad thing as far as Iranian and how to deal with it. Forcing personnel to pay taxes going through there.
Suffering from tariffs and going bankrupt. Now it's planting season and they can't get their fertilizer. And then, oh my gosh, oil is going through the roof per barrel. And the American people were paying $2.50 a gallon. Now they're paying $4.15, sometimes $7, depending on where you live, since Donald Trump did this. We need to ask a question. How is this making America great again? If it was all about the nuclear program, which I agree with you, Scott, on, that was something that was very important. We haven't heard anything about that. If it was all about the ballistic missile program, we haven't heard anything about that in weeks. If this has all been about the Strait of Hormuz because...
I mean, that's all we've been talking about. How their military has been decimated. Navy, Air Force, everything has been gone. It's kind of weird.
Donald Trump has created chaos and instability and upset our allies and almost broke up NATO over all of this. And you can't undo the damage that he's already done. We cannot just gloss over the fact that the President of the United States threatened genocide against a civilization because he threw a temper tantrum this morning because he wasn't getting his own way. There should be consequences for that kind of flippant language. That's not something we should just gloss over.
We'll get to that in the next block.
Really forget what Scott's point was, though, here. And I agree with you. When we're talking about messaging, you cannot possibly argue right now it has changed from day to day to day to day. But let's just one time in our history, in our recent history, let's look at the long game for once. This is a country right now, one of the most evil nation states that has been on the planet. It has been severely degraded with respect to its nuclear capability. It has been severely degraded with respect to its missile capability. Its army has been severe.
The thing is, they don't want to hear that. They're not thinking about that portion. All they think about is like, how can I say something to insult Trump or to go against what he's doing? These people, they don't watch the long game for real.
Severely degraded. When they talk about trying to keep the Strait of Hormuz, that we're going to keep it closed with their military, what Navy? There is no Iranian
They're
Navy.
not keeping it closed with their Navy. That's not what they're doing.
For once, look at the long game here. We have made that region. We've made this place a safer place.
The thing that counters. But Chris, the thing that counters your.
She said, have we? To answer a question like that would be, for the last 47 years, she does not believe that Iran has been a disruptive force in the Middle East. They have not been someone who have terrorized their neighbors or even their own people.
The point is that the Strait of Hormuz, right now, as we speak, is closed.
It is.
So if you're saying that all the things that we have done, they have no power to close the strait, then why is it closed?
Mm-hmm. We are talking about a very temporary situation right now. To think that this is going to continue forever, really, Abby? I mean, honestly, we have the strongest military in the world.
But let's actually
that Strait of Hormuz.
Let's actually
wait a minute,
contemplate what you're saying.
I agree. But I'm trying to look at the long game.
5 weeks
if we're
into
looking
this,
at the long game,
Chris, you have to understand.
Hold on.
This is being argued. It's heads I win, tails you lose. That's how this is argued.
Hold on a second.
I missed that memo.
Hold on a second. How about you guys actually deal with reality?
Yes.
5 weeks into
That's what
this.
we're asking
Hold on.
you to do.
No. Let me just ask you a quick question. 5 weeks into this war, Iran's military has been decimated. Nobody disagrees with that.
True.
Okay? Its navy decimated, all of that. 5 weeks into this war, first question, why is the Strait of Hormuz closed?
It's closed because they're choosing to harass people going through.
Okay.
With what Navy? I thought they.
Okay.
It's not the Navy.
So, all right.
It's a temporary.
It's closed. It's closed. You agree that Iran is keeping it closed.
And
She just said, well, the Navy being decimated doesn't matter. You could shoot stuff from the ground and still disrupt the ships that's going through. It's very strange that people don't understand that the Navy is not the only problem that they have when it comes down to ships passing through. Yes, they could have mines in the water, but they could still do stuff with small ammunition.
Why the United States has threatened to use force to reopen it? We have not. Why have we not done it?
well, the president asked international coalition to come in and deal with this, and 40 countries have met about it last week in the direction of Great Britain.
He's also said we don't need them.
Yep, NATO, right? NATO called for help during Ukraine. We sent help, money, and everything. We called for help from NATO to just land in their airstrips and provide aid to clear mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Nothing. Crickets.
He said we could do it ourselves. Why haven't we done it?
He also asked an international coalition to show up and deal with it.
You're not answering my
and they're
question.
doing it.
Why haven't we done it?
Because he wants other countries to take some responsibility for it.
Literally
Okay.
48 hours.
So, look,
we care about the streets. The
long term, short term, however you look at it, Iran has successfully, from a point of profound weakness, been able to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. And the reason that we are in this moment where the president is negotiating on their 10-point plan is because it is so important to him that that strait be reopened. And to Bobby's point, they have demonstrated to the world that they have economic leverage over the rest of the world. And so what does the United States do about that? That's the question that we are
Agree, but
facing
one thing
right
I just think I was being left out of this, and to your point, which I think is right, listen, yes, their Navy has been set back. The RGC also has a Navy and has resources, and that's caused us problems. The bottom line is we should not be in a position of weakness in the straits. And right now, the bottom line is it's very, you asked the question, it's really complicated to reopen it,
Yeah.
right? And that's right. However, the goal should be to crush the leading state sponsor of terror. We should want to massively set back as a country their ballistic missile program and
For
their drone
sure.
program.
Right,
We
for
should
sure.
want to weaken their nuclear program. We've weakened it a bit last June, and I'm hoping when we get the out reports here that we've weakened it more. We should want to set back their terror program, and they want to undermine our freedom and our democracy. We shouldn't gloss over the goal that we should all share.
I don't
which is
think
crush it, which is
anybody.
crush
I don't
it.
think anybody's glossing over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. It sure seems that CNN, especially Abby Phillips, they want Iran to win. Like, it's a very strange take.
No, but sometimes I think people
I don't
are
think
rooting for the wrong side.
No, I don't think. Hold on a second. I don't think.
Wow, she said no, 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 but the sentiment shows that it feels that way, right? If one person in the panel feels that way and he's not even conservative, that would show that the argument that's being made is not going that U.S. is being placed in the good area. It's more towards, oh, now Iran is showing you up. It's almost that they're rooting against the best interest of the United States. Very strange.
Anybody is rooting for the Iranian regime. I think that's completely off base. What I think is, listen, there are people.
For Donald Trump's
Hold on a
failure.
second.
We
There are
just
people
admit
in the
that.
world
They want
who
this to go poorly so they can blame it on
Sure.
Trump. Is that not?
That has been the main front and the main idea behind the Democrats and the left into how they see Trump. Anything that he does, let's go against it. Even in the best interest of the United States, we're going to pick an opposing country over the United States.
Why is the standard different for the president of the United States? You wouldn't let your kids get away with something like
it
that.
happened over and over and
So
over
should he
again.
held accountable for it?
Yes, and he wasn't. He is the
So
president
isn't
of the United
it the
States.
media's job
So
to hold him accountable?
I think you could have your opinion on what was said in that X post. But the same thing, I look at Democrats, they always have a standard for President Trump. You have Democrats using profanity on a day-to-day basis, talking about different things and how they want to hurt personnel, and no one says anything. Should that language into Trump last post talking about civilization. One could have different views about that and say it's not good and it's good.
Right.
And what we're dealing right now is with a president that, again, I take the view, and I know it's a minority view, what he has done with respect to Iran has been good for society. It's been good for the world. Hamas has been degraded. Hezbollah has been degraded. The Iranian military, the nuclear, it is an evil nation state. I look at the long game.
That's the thing, though. Two things could be true at one time, but they're never talking about the success. They always talk about the failures.
And using the U.S.
What do
military
you
to
call
take
all
drastic
of
action.
the shifting deadlines?
Right.
What do you
Just half a
call the threat this morning to end their civilization, only to accept a 10-point plan that was put on the table
No,
yesterday as the
you're
basis
misreporting
for negotiations?
You haven't seen the 10-point plan.
All I'm saying,
I think he's right about a 10-point plan because no one has seen it. And to say he just accepted it, I think is being very disingenuous. When it comes to Trump, we all know he negotiates from a place of power, right? The same thing with the tariff. He started from a place of 100% on everyone and eventually came to 15 to 25%. So we know some of the ideals on how he operates.
You know, is that they said they would reopen the strait. Beyond that,
hold
we
on a
don't know
second.
anything.
Hold on a second. The president retweeted the Iranian foreign minister's statement, which said explicitly that they are using the 10-point plan as a basis of negotiation. I'm not making that up.
Negotiation.
The president
We're talking.
reiterated that on an ex post, Scott.
But I have a
So
we're negotiating.
my
We
point
haven't
is,
agreed to
my
anything.
point is, the threats from Trump
And some of this stuff that's
to
supposedly
bomb their
we'll never agree
bridges, to bomb their desalination plants, to bomb them out of their civilization off the face of the earth. How are those not empty threats?
Well, it looks like it brought them to the table tonight and got them in a place where they would agree to a ceasefire. I mean, I'll give you a counter argument to all these other
Scott,
positions, which is
that is
the
not
president. The
connected
president.
to reality.
We have a ceasefire.
The same
Andy, do we not?
table,
Tel Aviv is still under
the
attack.
same
as we know on
table
air.
that
It's not connected to reality. You could say two things at the same time, right? Trump just gained a ceasefire. Just early in the day, the Iranian says they wouldn't talk. And after his post, they came to the table with a ceasefire.
we have tonight is the table that existed yesterday, in large part. And fundamentally, the only thing that has been agreed to is that Iran will continue to control the Strait of Hormuz and will allow ships to go through on their control. That is the only thing that has been agreed to.
The strait is going to be reopened, and we're going to negotiate about the rest. Beyond that, we don't really know much of anything. But I will tell you, yesterday, Iran was saying, we're cutting off, talks. We're not going to continue the talks. The president uses some extreme language, and all of a sudden, voila, tonight, we have a ceasefire for 2 weeks. Why can't we just say, you know what? Maybe we had achieved military.
You watch her face. She knows what he's saying is true, but she is forcing herself not to accept it. It's very true.
Objectives. Maybe we have taken down their military and their ability to export terror. Maybe we have decimated their missiles. Maybe we've buried the nuclear material, and maybe we've got 2 weeks to make the world a safer place. Why can't we look at this as a glass half full moment, as opposed to?
But then why?
We have to make it negative for Donald Trump.
why
It's
can't
all.
And that's the thing. These people, they don't want America to win. She just mentioned earlier in the segment that you could talk about two things at once, but they only choose on the negative. He just gave a proposition, glass half full moment, and they chose the glass half empty side. All right, motivators, if you like what you're hearing and seeing, please like, comment, subscribe, and share a Black veteran perspective. Stay motivated.